Hello everyone, welcome to this lesson titled Introduction. This is by me, Abhinav Anand. So let's begin. This is about me. I'm Abhinav Anand. I'm a poet and a traveler. I'm a student of University of Delhi. I'm doing English honors there, and I love to sing and listen to ghazals. And currently, I'm watching Harry Potter series. So let's begin with this. Before we proceed further, let's understand what is mnemonics, what it is. Mnemonics are memory devices that helps learner recall larger pieces of information, especially in the form of lists like steps, stages, parts, etc. So remember, all of us must have done this. I mean, in remembering anything like a list of things, list of uh, chemicals, list of metals. So all of us must have done this at some point of time. We devised our own acronym. So we took the first letter of each thing and we made an acronym out of it, and that's how we learned it easily. So that is also a mnemonic technique that is used in order to make sure that the learning process becomes fast, and whatever we learn, that becomes permanent. Gerald R. Miller's study helped us to find that mnemonics increased recall back in 1967. So this is not something that has happened recently. This is something that has been there from 1967 and much before that. But in 1967, of course, that was established, that was confirmed by Gerald R. Miller. He found that students who used mnemonic techniques increased their test scores up to 77%. So, this technique is actually tested and it has proved a great boon to many students, and it has increased their learning capacity to up to 77%. So, you can be sure that if you're going to follow this technique, you're going to learn these words or anything for that matter very quickly, and that will be there with you permanently. Let's move on. I'm really sorry about this. I mean, this technical fault. So basically, this is types of mnemonic techniques which we are going to actually apply. So I'm really sorry for this. This is types of mnemonic techniques. The first one is music. So you must have wondered why the lyrics of the songs become very easy to recall and you don't forget them quite easily. So, have you ever wondered why? Because there is some music in there, there's a kind of flow, there is a rhythm that goes in, and that rhythm actually helps your brain to remember those lyrics as they are. The second one, ode or rhyme. So this one is actually which we are going to apply a lot, and also we are going to apply in this lesson. That later we will see later how we are going to apply this. So this is the technique that we apply, and this is the technique that is used by poets, and that is used in poetry, in which there is certain rhyming scheme, and that enables the person to remember the poem. So you'll always hear that poetry recitation competition. You'll never hear a prose recitation competition, because learning poetry is quite easy as compared to learning prose. Next is image. So remember the overview lesson in which there was this uh, image of a lighthouse, and how I explained that something which is seen from that lighthouse below is actually called overview, literally overview, which gives you a surface view of what is going to happen, what is there, and not the concrete, the absolute view of it. Moving on, we have connection. So we always establish connection with words, and we have this habit of establishing connection everywhere. So whenever you see a book, you remember your favorite book, you remember a character. Whenever you see something that reminds you of your childhood, I mean, if you see a boy playing in park that reminds you of your childhood. I mean, we constantly are in this habit of establishing connection, and if you are able to establish a distinct connection with every word, then that remembering that word becomes quite easy. Moving on, spelling. So sometimes learning spelling becomes quite difficult, and in order to make sure that we learn spellings correctly, or especially between the words that are a bit confusing, like the spelling of principal that stands for a head of institution and principle that stands for ideologies. So these two words actually are pronounced the same way, but they have distinct spelling, and sometimes if we forget which one is the one which is the head of institution, or and which one is the one which is stands for ideologies or ideas. So in order to make sure that we don't confuse between these words, we can devise a mnemonic technique in order to make sure that we have the separate distinction between these two words, or any word for that matter. Moving on. So let's try to learn. So this is our first interactive assignment kind of thing, and here we will try to learn. So these are 5 pictures, and you have to memorize it within 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So turn to the next slide. Okay, and stop here and think about the words, whether you know them or not, remember them or not remember them. And I'd like you to stop looking at this screen and think about it. How many things can you remember? So, and now let's have a fun way to learn this thing. So let's have some fun, and let's see how we can learn these things very easily. So I have written this poetry kind of thing. Remember this rhyme and ode technique of mnemonics that I have used here. So I have written this. There was a racing car. Remember, the racing car was there. Not too far from an ambulance. Remember, the ambulance was there. That carried a fan from baseball ground. Baseball, somebody playing baseball was there. And it was found that he was a man from across the sea. Remember, this boat was there sailing in the sea, and in a temple lived he. So this kind of rhyming, if you establish this kind of story, if you establish with certain kind of things, you can easily learn those things. So I have built up a story about this, entirely different. I mean, they are not connected in any manner. Imagine a racing car and a temple. How you're going to connect those things? But here lies the technique of mnemonics. Through mnemonics, you can connect these things, and when you connect these things and form a story about it, the remembering thing becomes very easy. Because no matter what, we humans have been a great listener to the stories, and we have remembered the stories from ages and ages. So the very first thing that we learn, that we hear, are stories, and we are very, 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 I mean, the most, the grasping power of human beings are the most in grasping these stories. And that is why if you form a story around things, you can easily learn them. So let's read this again. There was a racing car not too far from an ambulance that carried a fan from baseball ground, and it was found that he was a man from across the sea, and in a temple lived he. So in this way you can learn those things easily. Moving on, words and their meaning. So first of all, you have to understand what are words, and we have understood mnemonics. That was the first part, mnemonic techniques of this title. And the second is of vocabulary. Vocabulary comprises of words. So let's understand what are words. Words are arbitrary. A cat is a cat because a cat is a cat. That's it. you don't have any logic or any reasoning behind it. So that is what is arbitrary means. I mean, something is something because there's no reason. That is something, and that's it. I mean, you cannot reason it out. So that is why language is arbitrary, or words are arbitrary. Meanings are nothing but association with the word. I explained that a cat is a cat just because it is a cat. I mean, just because you named it like that. Like that. If you have named cat a dog, a dog may have been a cat. So just because it has been named like that, that is why that meaning is associated with it. And a word is something that has a meaning associated with it. That's it. Meanings change with time and uses too. So this is very important. Meanings certain times change and their uses too. So a word that was never in existence, that is one of the most used words in Oxford Dictionary also. I mean, a year or two back, 2 years back, I guess I'm right. 2 years back, selfie, this word was called the word of the year by Oxford English Dictionary. And this was what was not existing anywhere. So you see, words keep on coming in the language, and some words keep going away. So this is a continuous process. I mean, it's an organic process, and it is not that something, if a word is there, another word can replace it, or so these all things happen with language. A word has power to change the world. So remember, words are the most important weapon that we have, and it is through words that leaders have swayed the minds of millions and millions of people. So words can really change the world, and there is only a difference. This observation I made while preparing this PPT said that there is only a difference of L between word and world, and that L stands for your labor. So through labor, you can use your words and change this world. So this may seem a very big idea, but if we begin this process a bit by bit, we can actually see the change. So you master the word and you master the world. So that is how important vocabulary building is. And I urge all of you, I welcome all of you on this course. And I want to see a large number of people. I am hoping to see a large number. I am going to give 200% of myself. And I want you to write, rate, review, recommend, share the link of this video to people who need this video. And this is it for this video. Thank you so much.